Connu Janamara.
Right. Hello. Good afternoon, YouTube. I wanted to come and talk to you guys about the working that I had put up that video about on Friday. And I want to actually go over and do a little bit of education about psychism and the capability of the mind and what people can do with their mind, and just some of the things about psychic powers that I don't hear discussed much. And so I wanted to speak about that working so that people could have a better understanding of what it was. You know, the mind, first of all, let's get into psychism, okay? Let's get into psychism and psychic powers of the mind. And in the mind, I mean, the brain is very complicated. uh a lot of stuff happens in the subconscious as well as the unconscious and the conscious mind. And I'm not going to break that down all the way because then that would be kind of boring. But I'm going to put it in layman's terms for y'all today. Okay, psychism. So when it comes to psychics, psychism is not just telling the future. Psychism is powers of the mind. And the mind can be very powerful. And if people have figured out what it is that they can do with their mind and the powers of the mind, um, they can project their psychic powers to other people. And so, pretty much, so I'm a psychic. I use my psychic abilities for good things. Okay. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to delve into the dark minds of people, which is typically what psychiatrists deal with. And if y'all notice that in as far as like the field of psychology, when you look at Hollywood and the media, but especially in Hollywood, there are various movies that are made about psychiatrists and psychologists and psychiatrists that, deal with things that, because I feel like there's a thin veil between psychiatry and the supernatural. Okay. And, in a lot of the movies that you see about that, you know what I'm saying? You see this psychologist or this therapist, dealing with the powers of the minds of other people, because everything starts in the mind. That's why in the movie The Hellraiser, when you see Pinhead, he's got all these spikes coming out of his head, and you can actually open up other realms in the mind. So the mind is a very, very complicated and powerful thing. And when you look at being a psychic and what can be done in the mind, it's kind of, I guess the best example I can give you would be psychic vampirism, would be one example of this, of what people can do to your mind. When you are dealing with a psychic vampire, would be the easiest way for me to break this down for y'all. And the way psychic vampires can, you know, make you feel a certain way because they are projecting their intent to you through the mind. Okay. It's sort of the same way as witchcraft, but it's not exactly the same thing. I think that it because witchcraft is so much more broader. Okay. It's so much more broader. Okay. Because before you have to speak something, you have to think it. You have to create something in your mind and then you speak it. So I feel that witchcraft trumps a lot of it. And I feel like it's a totally different arena. It's a totally different thing, but it's directly related. Okay. And so when I put up the video, I said, guess what this is? And actually, Kales got very, very close. And then a regular viewer of my channel, one EQL, both of them kind of guessed it correctly. Kales was kind of closer when she said, what was her answer to what is this working, and what, can you guess what it is, what I'm doing in this working? And basically, Kales stated pretty much getting rid of mind control or cursing mind control. Okay. And she was very, very, very close, but it was a lot more deep and complicated than that. Okay. So as far as you ever hear somebody, because I feel like cult leaders and people like that, you know what I'm saying? Even sometimes pastor of the church, because I was thinking that today, I was like, pastor is a witch, a lot of the times. But I was thinking about that, and people, there are some people that have these abilities, but they will abuse their power of psychism. And I talk to people every single day. I have clients who are still dealing with psychics, dealing with people that are in meditation, dealing with people's minds, dealing with what people can do in the mind, especially when it comes to empaths, whether or not you are a dark or a light empath, good or bad. I don't really necessarily believe in that when it comes to witchcraft, as far as it being good or bad, because, I mean, at any moment, anybody can say that High Priestess Jamila is good or bad. It just depends on if you on my good side or if you on my bad side. And if you on my bad side, I can be very, very bad. If you on my good side, I can be very, very good. But I'm not the type of person that has ever in my life just attacked people that have never attacked me, right? I mean, I got good sense. Some people just don't have good sense. Some people are psychopaths. Okay, so there's a difference, and everybody has the right to defend themselves and their minds. Okay. And when you look at the aura of a person, there are some people that have the ability to change your aura, to feed off of you, or to change your aura, or to pervert you. There are some people that have very, very, very sick, twisted, upside down thoughts and thought processes that are created in the mind. And what do? They can project that to you. So that working that I did stopped it pretty much. That's the intent of the working. And I recorded a video for it. I'm not going to upload it for a while. I don't have to upload it right away as far as like the full and the full ritual where I actually made the skull, because that's what that was. That's what that is in the picture. It's a skull that I made out of clay, and it has a specific intent. But I did do a decorative jar, to where, like, if you have an enemy, somebody that has decided to target you with their sick, twisted, unclean, twisted mind, and project all that crap around you, where you can actually keep it as a decorative item, which is their head on a stick with a lot of different symbols around it. So, I haven't shown the jar that I made for that, okay, because it's necessary sometimes. It's very, very necessary. Okay. Most of you guys are not going to be unfortunate to become a target of somebody like that, but there's quite a few people. When you think about, I'd say probably maybe 3 out of 10 of you. 3 out of 10 million, 3 million out of 10 million are going to be the victim of this. And you don't have to be a victim. You don't. There's something you can do about it. So when you look at witchcraft goes a whole lot deeper. A lot of you probably thought that was evil, something that I was doing that was evil. In fact, it was not evil. In fact, what I did is going to save many, many, many lives. It was actually light work, even though it was very dark, even though I thought it was funny, because I personally feel like the person deserved it. And that person is going to go through it. They're going to go through it, and they need to, because anytime you become corrupt, when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes when you are corrupt in that way. So basically, the intent of the work is to make sure that that person cannot project their sick, twisted mind. And we had to go beyond lighting a candle. Spirit wanted me to do that working so that we could save candles, so that we don't have to keep going through these cycles. Especially when it comes to women. Women are constantly going through a cycle. Even after a woman stops her period, there's still cycles. We have the moon, and there's nothing we can do about it. Okay. And so last night, if you guys had any kind of trouble, it was because of the moon being a projector. The moon actually intensifies this psychic energy a lot. And this is the reason why, some of you guys were chilling, maxing, and relaxing. But then some of you guys were going through it because somebody may have been projecting something out to you, or even having unclean thoughts. So for example, if you are a psychic or an empath and somebody is obsessed with you, horribly obsessed with you, constantly thinking about you, constantly trying to get in your energy, constantly bitsy bobbing around, constantly, calling people on the phone, talking about you, constantly targeting you. Basically, what that working is going to do is it's going to take that person's intent and their thoughts and turn it back to them, and then some, and then some. Okay. Um, there are people that have the ability to do things with their mind. And so basically, here's the way spirit sees it. You have somebody doing things like that, they got to get it. So that was actually a graveyard dirt working that is going to destroy that person's psychic abilities to a T. It's going to destroy their psychic abilities, the things that they're doing. And they should be. They should be, because the person was using their psychic ability to do harm to people. Okay. So a lot of the times when you think, a lot of times when it comes to witchcraft, you have to go to the mind. That's why do y'all think witches use skulls so much? The reason why we use skulls is because, that is a representation of the mind, of the brain. And everything is coming from the brain. In fact, the first thing that forms in your mother's womb is the brain. That's the first thing that develops. Even before the heart, the brain is developing in embryos in the womb. So this is the reason why the skull is not only symbolic of the brain, it is the brain of the person, but it is also a representation of the beginning and the end. Sometimes people may have abilities that they don't have control over. And like, it reminds me of this story that I heard, and supposedly they say that it's fiction. I don't believe that it's purely fictional. Um, for example, there was in that particular documentary, and I've got to find it so that I can share it. But basically, they were trying to make it seem like it wasn't real, but I think it was sort of based upon a true story, to where like they had this woman in this institution and they were doing research on psychic abilities. And so, they had done all kind of research, and I believe that it's very, very real that our government, they do have some kind of, research project that is very similar to Area 51, where they are researching the psychic abilities of people. And our brain connects us to the astral and to the etheric, right? So this lady, she could not only move objects, but she was doing all kind of stuff. But as it progressed, as they kept doing research on her, she was literally conjuring the devil, placing people under possession, doing all of this stuff, moving people around, and she was doing it with her mind. And a person that has those kinds of psychic abilities, they have got to understand that you have to check yourself before you wreck yourself. And anytime a person can see you and see what you're thinking and sense it and even feel what you're thinking, that's when you may end up with somebody like High Priestess Jamila that's going to put that work on you. Because pretty much what I've noticed that people can do is they are summoning spirits through the mind. So a person doesn't have to, necessarily spread poop all over your picture or do some kind of African voodoo, you know what I'm saying, to mess you up. A person can pull in entities and spirits through the mind and connect them to you. And basically that is what that working did, and that is what it's going to continue to do. And it is nothing that can be done to reverse it. Nothing. It is irreversible. It's necessary and irreversible. Um So that's what that working was for. That working was not doing evil to somebody. That wasn't even a dark working, even though it looked very dark, it looked very scary. It was actually a good thing that that working got done. The person that the working got done on, not going to be allowed to use their psychic abilities anymore, for that purpose at least. Okay? Can guarantee you they can try, but they won't be able to buy. And that's just all it is to it. we got enough we got enough problems on this earth. We do. As a spiritualist that's been in business for 10 years doing work for people, helping people, saving people with my spiritual knowledge, there is no way that God would allow a person to continue that type of behavior or even be codependent on that type of behavior to do harm to people. And it's not necessarily a witch. Everybody always focus on the witch, the witch, the witch, the witch, the witch. No, witches used to be called clever folk, was what I was trying to think of a few weeks ago. Witches have been helpful throughout history when it comes to dealing with people like that. Because you may not have a witch, that's not even considered to be a witch. A person with that kind of psychic ability is more so considered to be a problem or problematic. Some people that have psychic abilities are able to bend reality around people. And they may not call themselves a witch, but they're a psychic. Psychics, if you're a psychic only and you have psychic abilities, is very difficult for you. May not necessarily understand witchcraft. That's just like using basic logic, right? Just because a person is a psychic doesn't necessarily make them a witch, and just because a person is a witch doesn't necessarily make them a psychic. Okay, and being able to divinate doesn't even make you a psychic. Having psychic abilities is something that, I mean, sometimes people with psychic abilities can change your perception of yourself, can change other people's perception of you. And if you are a person that is prone to that kind of suggestion or psychic ability, then you can really, really be manipulated by a person like that. And it'll mess up your life and cause tragedy in your life. So I can guarantee you that the person that got done like that, they threw. They threw at least towards me and mine and my earth. They done with that. And it was something that immediately showed immediate results in healing. When somebody is causing that kind of pain and suffering, you might be dealing with a psychic. And sometimes people in their dirty, twisted minds can play those kind of mind games with people, and can sort of create these realities around people, and manipulate people, manipulate the minds of people, and destroy their lives. A lot of times they will use a focal point. So if you've ever been used as a focal point to manipulate people, almost like a narcissist, okay? Let's say that your mother was a narcissist and you had several siblings and you were the oddball out, you were the smart ass, you were the smart aleck. Oh, you're going against me. Oh, you don't want to do evil things with me. So what that narcissistic mother will do is bend the minds of all of the other siblings using psychic power, especially if it's a psychic. It's a mind trip, it's a mind game, and will have stuff all twisted and upside down. In the meantime, making you the focal point, but also essentially ruining the lives of your other siblings. Okay, that's why somebody had misdiagnosed me. They told me I was a narcissist. No, I'm more of a dark empath. But in reality, narcissism is just a condition. It's a conditioning that's taught to people to cope, is what narcissism is. Okay. I'm not a doctor, you know what I'm saying? But I do understand the human mind as well as the body. So this person will probably go into meditation and they ain't gonna be able to do nothing. It's dead. Okay, almost equivalent to chopping. That's why a lot of the times you don't need to have no full poppet doll. You know, a poppet doll is child's play sometimes, but it's very, very powerful at the same time. It's equivalent to cutting the head off of a snake that needs to be cut off. Pretty much is why, and so I'll put up a couple of pictures on the community wall as far as the decorative jar that I made. It's got several symbols around it to protect everybody outside of that person from doing harm to them. And this person can't do any harm to anybody but itself. Not going to say whether or not it's a he or a she, but we all know it's a she. Okay. Just to let people know, and unfortunately, if you get this work done on you, it's nothing you can do about it. Everything that you intend to do the other to other people, you only gonna do it to yourself. And that's the reality of it. People will go and they will go into meditation and they looking and they trying to find and seek. That working will stop that person from doing it because some people don't even need a candle. They don't need a candle. If they have a candle, though, they know how to project it out because obviously, as a witch, I know how to make things take flight. That's what the flame is about. That's why the flame goes up because it's going up in the air. But when you think about a psychic, they can do things very quickly because they are going inside of the minds of people and manipulating. I think there's a movie with Jennifer Lopez. I can't think of the name of that movie. God dang it. I should have did my research before I started this. I gotta go. I can't be here long. I got a lot of stuff that I gotta get done for clients and stuff. And I apologize for any delays, but this had to be done. It was something that I did, and it gets stronger, and it's nothing that can be done about it. Even if you destroy this jar, it's nothing that can be done about it. Even if you burn it, you're just gonna pretty much make the intent stronger because that's how I program my work. Nothing can stop this work. Now, a person like that that's doing that, they're going to be in a gray area. They're going to always be in a gray area of either being psychic or psychopathic. This will force the person to get some help. Get help is what you need to do. You need to go and see a doctor Because even if a person like that goes to see a spiritualist, nobody can help them, especially if they intend to do harm to children, animals, adults, man, woman, I don't know, the world. A person like that has to be contained somehow. And that's what that work was. Some of the best work that I've ever done, very proud of it. And if people have a problem with me because of it, oh well. Oh well. You need to sit back and reevaluate a lot. That's one of the reasons why, Christians and religious people will say, oh, those crystals are evil. And that is because you can either do good with a crystal, like an actual crystal, a quartz crystal will magnify it, right? Somebody's intent of their mind. They actually use crystals in computers, and computers do a lot. Computers control and shape our world. So think of the brain as a hard drive. The brain is a computer. Okay. So, and, it makes you breathe a breath of fresh air when you know that you've contained that kind of evil. That's why I said no matter what a psychic does, now if it's somebody like your mama or your grandma and they're doing that kind of evil, which there is cases out there. Y'all got grandmas and mamas and sisters and brothers that have those kind of psychic abilities, and all they can do is think about doing evil to innocent people. Okay, so it's a tough decision to make, but it forces people to get the help that they need. Because a person like that, a psychic like that, needs reform. This is something that, as a society, as far as psychic reform, we don't talk about it enough except for through the guise of the field of psychiatry. Okay, but a person like that needs to not be able to use that psychic ability to do harm to people, because a person like that can get people killed. A person like that possibly could make you feel sick, even though you're not. This is why you'll have trips to the ER and the doctor will tell you ain't nothing wrong with you. Oh, and they'll pass it off as anxiety. They'll say, oh, you're just having an anxiety attack. But as doctors have found out, anxiety attacks actually do affect the heart chakra. Can allow that type of psychic madness to run amok. And it after a while, when it's been enough, you know what I'm saying? Especially, you got to pay attention to obsessive people, people that are obsessed with you, people that just, it's an obsessiveness that they have, and they're constantly in meditation, constantly thinking, can't think about nothing else. When they doing the dishes, they're thinking about you. When they're going for a walk, they're thinking about harming you. And if you have psychic abilities, everybody has the right, all of you guys have the right to open up your third eye. Everybody does. But that is one of the drawbacks of opening up your third eye. Because when you open up your third eye, you're going to see everything. Imagine opening up your third eye and what you can see is this person and their thoughts and their thought processes being projected to you because they don't like you or they have a problem with you or they don't like themselves. Who cares? Okay. So that's what that working was about. And I can guarantee you that even though certain people that feel like I did that work on them are going to try to make it seem like it doesn't work, but it is working already because nobody hears you, sees you. Okay. It'll be very weak, almost 0.1%. Okay. The only thing that people will feel is empathy for those people, for those types of people. But other than that, being placed under their mind control ain't gonna happen. Because I do believe that there are a lot of people that have the ability to control the minds of people through psychism. That's why 2 years ago I made it's called anti-mind control oil. I made a big batch of it, and I still got the recipe to it. But it just is what it is, you know what I'm saying? And you got to be able to protect yourself and you got to be able to not have to constantly be on guard looking over your shoulder. You get tired of having to constantly work people out of your energy because that's what people are trying to do. And of course, a lot of you guys, especially in social media, you take pictures of what? Your face, your head. Some of y'all even got y'all head shaved to where a person can just get straight through to your brain anytime they want to use you to make you a puppet for them. Okay. So, that's what that was. In case you guys wanted to know, it wasn't, oh, I just want to do something evil to somebody. No, it's called defensive magic, is what it's called. Okay. And like I said, I will post the pictures. It's got the hexagram on it because I printed out several protective symbols. It's got a hexagram. It's got a Celtic symbol of protection. It's got the two swords crossed, and then on the other side, it's got the triquetra. Because in reality, a lot of psychics are against witches. So psychics and witches don't actually always get along. People with witches ain't gonna get along with nobody that's trying to do harm to them. So I don't think any of you guys would get along with a person like that. And I certainly ain't the type of person to kiss ass. I'm not. Okay. Oh yeah, was born free and is gonna die free. Okay. People like that will try to put you in almost like a mental prison, or either they'll try to control the percept. It's just like what they say about narcissists. When the narcissist can't control you, they want to control people's perception of you. So even if a narcissist was trying to control you and they can't do it, then they freak out and they want to control the way people see you. And that has to be done with some kind of psychic ability. A person can't do that without a psychic ability. All right, y'all. I gotta go. I will see you guys later. Bless, bless.